She kissed a stranger to make her cheating ex jealous. Unaware. The stranger was a mafia boss who, a rooftop party, one furious kiss, cameras flash, and the stranger doesn't smile, he claims. Now the girl who started it to burn her ex is locked in a citywide storm, a black sedan that never leaves, a phone with one number, and a demand: stay by his side or get swallowed by his enemies. Then it gets worse. Her dad's old files hold the key to crushing a rival crew. Her ex sold her location, and someone inside the boss's circle wants her gone. The man she kissed is lethal to everyone, but gentle to her. And that might be the most dangerous part. When a kidnapping turns into a rescue and a secret brother steps out of the dark, one kiss becomes a war. What happens when the only safe place is the arms of the most dangerous man in the city, and he decides she's his? The wind whips Marin's hair as she speed walks down Michigan Avenue, her heels clicking against the concrete. Her fingers tremble as she clutches her phone, the screen still showing her hasty text to Brielle. The kiss burns in her memory, not the vengeful victory she'd planned, but something darker, more dangerous. She chances a glance over her shoulder. The black sedan creeps through traffic, a sleek shadow that makes her pulse jump. The tinted windows reveal nothing, but she feels watched, claimed, marked. Get it together, she mutters, wrapping her arms around herself as another gust of wind catches her slip dress. The champagne she barely touched still fizzes in her veins, mixing with adrenaline. Her phone buzzes. Brielle's response flashes on the screen. You did what? Call me right now! Marin ducks into the shelter of a storefront, trying to steady her breathing. The sedan glides past, slow and deliberate. In its wake, her phone explodes with notifications. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all lighting up like Christmas. The first image loads. Her, caught in profile, pressed against a man in an impeccable suit. His hand spans her lower back, possessive. The lighting catches the sharp angles of his face, the intensity in his dark eyes. The caption reads, Mystery woman locks lips with Chicago's most dangerous bachelor, Salvatore Vescari. She is she. Oh God. Marin's stomach drops. More photos pop up, different angles, different moments of the same kiss. In each one, Salvatore looks less like the random stranger she'd grabbed and more like a predator who'd caught willing prey. She scrolls through comments already flooding in. Holy shit, that's Salvatore Vescari! Does she know who she just kissed? Tyler Hale's ex with the Vescari air. Drama! The train station beckons 2 blocks away, but Marin's legs feel weighted. Salvatore Vescari. The name tumbles through her mind, gathering dark implications. She'd heard whispers, seen newspaper headlines. Business empire, old money, darker rumors that never quite made the papers. Her phone rings. Brielle again. Marin answers, her voice barely a whisper. Brie, are you insane? Brielle hisses. I just saw the photos. Do you have any idea who that man is? I'm starting to get the picture. Marin watches another black car cruise past, this one moving too slowly to be coincidence. I just wanted to make Tyler jealous. I didn't think... Clearly! Marin, Salvatore Vescari isn't just some rich playboy. There are stories. Bad ones. Where are you right now? Almost at the station. There's a car following me, Brie. Maybe more than one. Don't take the train. I'm coming to get you. Stay where there are people. Marin steps back into the flow of Friday night crowds, her green dress a beacon under the streetlights. Her phone keeps buzzing, texts from coworkers, notifications of being tagged, Tyler's name appearing and disappearing. She opens one message from Tyler. You're playing with fire. What the hell were you thinking? Delete. Block. She doesn't owe him explanations anymore. The crowd parts ahead of her, and Marin's heart stutters. 2 men in dark suits stand at the corner, earpieces visible. Their eyes scan the crowd with professional assessment, but she knows they're waiting for her. She turns, ready to cross the street, but spots another suit-clad figure on the opposite corner. The net is closing, subtle but certain. Her phone vibrates with an unknown number. Against her better judgment, Marin answers. Miss Cole. Salvatore's voice slides through the connection, smooth as aged whiskey. I believe we have unfinished business. I'm sorry about the kiss. It was impulsive and inappropriate. Was it? A pause, heavy with amusement. You chose me quite deliberately, Kuchula. Now you're running. I'm not running. I'm going home. Are you? Another pause. The train isn't safe at this hour. Allow my driver to take you. Marin spots the original sedan, now parked at the curb ahead. That's not necessary. I insist. His tone makes it clear this isn't a request. We need to discuss damage control. Your face is already trending. She glances at her phone. He's right. The photos are everywhere, speculation building like a tsunami. Fashion blogs are identifying her dress, gossip sites are digging up her connection to Tyler, and business news is already spinning theories about Salvatore's public appearance with an unknown woman. I don't need damage control, Marin says, even as she watches her social media follower count spike. I can handle this. A low chuckle. Can you handle the reporters who will be at your door by morning? The paparazzi? The questions about our relationship? There is no relationship. It was one kiss. One kiss, witnessed by hundreds, photographed by dozens, and now viewed by millions. His voice softens, dangerous in its gentleness. Get in the car, Marin. Let me ensure you get home safely. Then we'll talk about how to proceed. She stops walking, caught between the approaching suits and the idling sedan. Around her, more phones are lifting, recognition dawning on faces in the crowd. Someone points, whispers her name. Trust me, Cucciolo, Salvatore murmurs. You want me as an ally tonight? Sunlight cuts across Marin's face like an accusation. Her phone won't stop vibrating, each notification a reminder of last night's impulsive kiss. She squints at the screen, her head throbbing from too little sleep and too much anxiety. Chicago's mystery woman. Who caught Salvatore Viscari's eye? Power couple alert. Viscari airs rooftop romance. Tyler hails ex makes power play with business mogul. She groans, burying her face in her pillow. But hiding won't make this go away. Saturday morning means prepping Monday's product launch, crisis or not. Work might even be a welcome distraction. Her apartment feels too small, too exposed. She changes quickly, conservative black pants, cream blouse, hair pulled back, severe and professional. No more slip dresses, no more impulsive decisions. The office building stands quiet, most floors dark. Marketing firms never truly sleep, though, and Marin's key card grants her weekend access. The lobby security guard gives her an odd look, recognition dawning. Package came for you, Ms. Cole, left it at the desk. A sleek black box sits waiting, tied with dark green ribbon that matches last night's dress too perfectly to be coincidence. Her hands shake as she unties it. Inside, nestled in black velvet, lies a phone. Not the latest model, but expensive. Minimal. One number saved in the contacts. S. Viscari. A cream card rests beneath it, heavy stock, black ink, and elegant script. You created attention. Now you'll help manage it. When did this arrive? She asked the guard. Early morning delivery. Very professional courier. Marin's throat tightens. She should leave the phone, walk away. Instead, she slips it into her bag, telling herself she'll dispose of it later. The morning passes in a blur of event layouts and vendor confirmations. By early afternoon, her stomach reminds her she skipped breakfast. The deli across the street beckons. Simple, safe, normal. She steps out into Chicago's weekend bustle. A white van idles nearby, unremarkable, except for how still its occupants sit. Something prickles along her spine, instinct screaming danger. The sidewalk stretches empty for a moment. That's when they move. Two men, fast and practiced. One grabs her arm, the other opens the van's side door. Marin's scream catches in her throat as they lift her. The squeal of tires drowns everything. A black SUV cuts across traffic, mounting the curb. More men pour out, these ones moving with military precision. The contrast is stark. Her attackers freeze like amateurs before professionals. Violence erupts, controlled and brutal. Her would-be kidnappers hit the pavement. One tries to run, he doesn't make it 3 steps. No guns, no shouting, just the efficient application of force. Another SUV arrives. This one carries Salvatore Viscari. He steps out unhurried, surveying the scene like a king reviewing his court. His suit is impeccable gray, his presence absolute. When he looks at Marin, his eyes hold none of last night's heat, only Arctic calculation. Get in the car, his voice carries despite its softness. You're a criminal. She means it to sound accusing. It comes out breathless. And you're brave and careless. He gestures across the street. The photographer's been there since you arrived. Shall we give him another show? Marin follows his gaze. Sure enough, a man with a long lens camera crouches behind a parked car. More photos, more headlines, more exposure she can't control. This isn't my world, she says. I don't want any part of it. You became part of it the moment you chose me for your performance. Salvatore steps closer, not touching, but commanding her full attention. Those men weren't amateurs playing games. They would have taken you, hurt you, used you against me. Now choose my car or wait for the next attempt. There won't be. There will. His certainty chills her. You're valuable now, a weakness in my armor, they think. They'll try again and again until they succeed or until I convince everyone you're under my protection. A groan from one of the fallen men punctuates his words. Salvatore's people are zip-tying hands, efficient as surgeons. What happens to them, she asks. They'll answer questions. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Thoroughly. The photographer's camera clicks rapidly. More headlines forming. Mystery woman caught in violence. Vescari's new love in danger. If I get in your car, Marin says carefully, I'm not agreeing to anything. Noted. And I'll leave whenever I choose. His smile warms a degree. Brave and careless, he repeats softly. We'll discuss terms inside. The SUV door opens. Clean leather seats promise safety, but Marin knows it's an illusion. She's trading one danger for another, hoping she's chosen the lesser evil. Traffic flows around them as they pull away. Chicago indifferent to the drama just played out on its streets. Marin watches buildings slide past, mind racing through escape routes' contingency plans. The phone in her bag feels heavy with possibility and threat. One number, one connection to this man who moves like violence wrapped in silk. She'll run, she promises herself. First chance she gets, she'll disappear. But as Salvatore's hand rests casually on the seat between them, not touching but close enough to remind her of last night's kiss, she wonders if she's already in too deep to surface cleanly. Lake Michigan glitters ahead, sunlight dancing on waves. The SUV merges smoothly into lakefront traffic, carrying her further from everything familiar and safe. The SUV glides to a halt outside a towering glass edifice on Lakeshore Drive. Marin's legs feel wooden as she follows Salvatore through a private entrance, past silent security, and into an elevator that requires his fingerprint to ascend. The penthouse doors open to a space that seems to float above Chicago. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame the city like an emperor's view, steel and stone creating clean lines that draw the eye outward to the sprawling urban landscape below. Everything speaks of power and precision, from the minimalist furniture to the subtle art pieces that probably cost more than her yearly salary. Drink? Salvatore moves to a bar cart that gleams like liquid silver. I need answers more than alcohol. Marin remains standing, arms crossed. Why am I really here? He pours 2 glasses of water instead, the ice clinking like tiny warnings. Your impulsive kiss created an opportunity I need to maintain. At the time you chose me as your prop, a man was being killed across town. The timing is convenient. You're using me as an alibi. The realization hits her like cold water. For the next 48 hours, yes, he hands her a glass. There are several scheduled appearances where your presence will reinforce the narrative that I was otherwise occupied that evening. And if I refuse? The men who tried to take you today were Rinaldi soldiers. They'll try again. His voice carries the weight of certainty. Not just for you. They'll target anyone close to you. Your friend Brielle, for instance. Marin's hand tightens on the glass. Leave her out of this. I intend to. Cooperate, and my people ensure both of you remain untouched. He moves to a sleek desk, withdraws a single sheet of paper. A simple, non-disclosure agreement. Sign, and we begin. Marin sets down her water, takes the offered pen. The document is brief, but carefully worded. She reads every line, adds annotations in the margins. Specific end time, protection for Brielle, access to her work laptop. Salvatore watches with something like approval as she marks up his contract. Thorough. I'm not signing away my life without terms. She finishes a final note and signs with sharp strokes. 48 hours, he agrees, adding his own signature. Your laptop will be retrieved. Brielle will have protection she won't even notice. Now we need to collect your things. The drive to her apartment is tense with unspoken questions. Salvatore's security team splits up, some checking the building perimeter, others preceding them inside. In the elevator, Marin notices how he positions himself between her and the doors, how his eyes constantly scan their surroundings. The splintered door frame stops her cold. Stay behind me, Salvatore orders, voice gone to ice. He signals his men, who clear the apartment with practiced efficiency before allowing them inside. The destruction hits Marin in waves, drawers pulled out and emptied, cushions slashed, her clothes scattered like fallen leaves. Even her plants have been upturned, soil spilling across hardwood floors. They were thorough, Salvatore observes, his calm at odds with the fury in his eyes. Pack what you need. Quickly! Marin moves through the chaos on autopilot, grabbing essentials and stuffing them into a duffel bag. Underwear, toiletries, 2 changes of clothes. Her hand hovers over a framed photo of her and Brielle, then moves on. Better not to risk anything that matters. Your friend's apartment will be monitored, Salvatore says, reading her worry. No one will touch her. You can't guarantee that. I can. The certainty in his voice sends shivers down her spine. And I do. Outside, the sky deepens to purple, city lights beginning their nightly dance. Marin zips her bag closed, looking around at the violated space that was supposed to be her sanctuary. The realization settles like lead in her stomach. She can't stay here tonight, maybe not for several nights. The elevator arrives with a cheerful ding that feels obscene after the apartment's chaos. Salvatore's hand hovers near her lower back, not quite touching, but ready to move her if needed. His security team maintains formation around them, professionals containing the threat they represent. As the doors slide closed, Marin catches a final glimpse of her home. The broken door frame, the scattered belongings, the life she had carefully built, now turned inside out because of one reckless kiss. The elevator begins its descent, smooth and inexorable. Salvatore stands beside her, close enough that she can feel the heat radiating from his body, smell the subtle cologne that had drawn her in last night. His presence should frighten her more than it does. My men will remain posted, he says quietly. No one else enters without authorization. Marin nods, throat too tight for words. The duffel strap cuts into her shoulder, heavy with hastily chosen pieces of her life. Beyond the elevator's steel walls, Chicago continues its Saturday evening routine. People dining, laughing, living normal lives, untouched by the shadow world she's stumbled into. The private garage feels colder now, the SUV more ominous. One of Salvatore's men opens the door and Marin slides inside, her bag a barrier between her and the leather seat. Salvatore joins her, his movements controlled and precise as always. The garage door opens to darkness, streetlights casting orange pools on wet pavement. Saturday night traffic flows past, headlights streaming like rivers of light. Marin watches it all through tinted windows, feeling simultaneously exposed and hidden. 48 hours, she reminds herself, barely aware she's spoken aloud. Salvatore's response is soft but uncompromising. 48 hours to convince everyone you're under my protection. After that, you'll be safer. The penthouse settles into nighttime quiet, city lights twinkling beyond floor-to-ceiling windows. In the kitchen, the private chef, Antonio, Marin learns, heats homemade minestrone while security personnel move through the space with purpose. Their efficiency reminds her of stagehands during event setup, but their earpieces and concealed weapons tell a different story. Marin watches Salvatore from her perch at the kitchen counter, noting the contradictions. The papers paint him as ruthless, yet he thanks the elderly maid Maria with genuine warmth when she brings fresh towels. His movements are precise but relaxed as he eats his soup standing up, multitasking as he reviews security feeds on a tablet. The camera grid is like chess, he explains, tilting the screen to show her. Every angle matters. Every blind spot is an opportunity or a vulnerability. The tech team works methodically, replacing keypads and reprogramming access protocols. Salvatore's attention shifts seamlessly between them and Marin, his dark eyes missing nothing. Tomorrow, he says, setting down his spoon. We have brunch at the Peninsula Hotel at 11, then the Children's Hospital Gala rehearsal at 3. His tone turns instructive. Watch how people move. The ones who belong never try to prove it. The ones who lie check their surroundings too often. How do I avoid looking like the latter? Marin asks, pushing her empty bowl away. You're with me. Walk like you own the air itself. A ghost of a smile touches his lips. The rest will follow. A discreet knock announces the arrival of garment bags, tomorrow's wardrobe. The gown for the gala rehearsal is midnight blue, simple but elegant. Salvatore gestures to a nearby powder room for her to try it on. The silk whispers against her skin as she emerges. Salvatore's expression doesn't change, but his focus sharpens. He approaches with a velvet box, removing a delicate diamond necklace. May I? He asks, holding it up. Marin turns, lifting her hair. His knuckles brush the nape of her neck as he fastens the clasp. The touch sends electricity down her spine, and her breath catches audibly. In the window's reflection, their eyes meet. The question in his gaze is clear, but Marin can only manage a shaky exhale. He steps back immediately, respecting the uncertain response. Hours tick by. Marin changes back into comfortable clothes, working on her laptop, while Salvatore takes calls in rapid-fire Italian. She catches fragments about security rotations, property acquisitions, shipment schedules. His voice remains steady, but certain phrases carry weight that makes his men straighten their spines. During a lull, he mentions his brother offhandedly. Marco was better with people, he says, organizing papers with mechanical precision. He left 7 years ago, never came back. The words are simple, but the flatness in his voice speaks volumes. Marin recognizes the sound of grief turned to stone, remembers hearing it in her own voice after her father's death. As midnight approaches, the penthouse staff quietly departs. Security shifts change with military precision. Salvatore's posture suggests he won't sleep tonight, though fatigue shadows his eyes. You should rest, he tells her, indicating the plush sofa. Tomorrow will be complicated. Marin accepts the cashmere blanket he offers, settling onto the couch, while Salvatore takes position in the study. The door remains open, lamplight spilling out in a warm pool. She watches him work through heavy eyelids, writing in a leather-bound notebook, checking multiple phones, marking locations on a map she assumes tracks Rinaldi movements. The night deepens. Traffic noise fades 40 floors below. Marin drifts between sleep and waking, conscious of Salvatore's presence like a gravity well. His pen scratches against paper. Phones vibrate with incoming messages. The lamp casts his shadow on the study wall. A sentinel figure, somehow both threatening and reassuring. She should be more frightened, she thinks hazily. Should be planning an escape instead of letting exhaustion pull her under. But the penthouse feels like a fortress, and Salvatore's contained power offers more safety than threat. For now. The blanket is soft against her cheek. City lights paint patterns on the ceiling. In the study, Salvatore makes another quiet phone call, his voice a low rumble in Italian. Papers rustle as he works, the sound oddly domestic despite the context. Marin's last conscious thought before sleep claims her is that she's never seen anyone make violence look so methodical, so controlled, like a surgeon rather than a killer. The distinction shouldn't comfort her, but somehow it does. The night stretches toward Sunday morning. Salvatore remains at his desk, fountain pen moving across legal pads, surrounded by papers and plans. His watch glints as he checks the time. 11:47. Security teams report in via text. All sectors clear. The city sleeps on, unaware of the chess game playing out in high rises and back alleys. The lamp casts warm light on his notes, coordinates, names, timelines. His handwriting is precise, architectural. Every detail matters when lives hang in the balance. He glances at Marin's sleeping form on the sofa, notes how she's curled toward the study door despite her wariness. Trust and instinct at war. A new message arrives. Another Rinaldi sighting downtown. Salvatore adds it to his map, connecting patterns only he can see. The pen moves steadily across paper while Chicago's lights twinkle beyond the windows. Saturday night, fading towards Sunday's uncertain dawn. The city glows indigo through floor-to-ceiling windows when Marin stirs. Pre-dawn light paints everything in soft blues and grays, while coffee's rich aroma drifts from the kitchen. Her neck protests from sleeping on the sofa, but her mind snaps alert immediately. Salvatore stands at the windows, phone to his ear, speaking low Italian. He's changed into a fresh charcoal suit, his presence commanding even in the gentle morning light. A steaming cup waits on the coffee table near Marin, alongside a plate of fresh pastries. She reaches for her phone first, thumbs moving quickly to message Brielle. I'm safe. Security team will contact you. Don't worry. Her hands shake slightly as she hits send, knowing how her friend must be fretting. Within minutes, a response arrives, not from Brielle, but from Salvatore's head of security. Ms. Lawson secured and relocating to safe house apartment, 24/7 detail in place. Relief loosens the knot in Marin's chest. The car leaves in an hour, Salvatore announces, ending his call. The hotel brunch is critical. Every society photographer in Chicago will be there. Marin nods, gathering her makeup bag. I know how to work a room. Her voice carries more confidence than she feels. The hotel's grand ballroom sparkles with crystal and morning light. Chicago's elite mill about, trading air kisses and veiled barbs over mimosas. Marin feels eyes tracking her as she enters on Salvatore's arm, her cream silk dress floating with each step. She interlaces her fingers with his, playing the role of enchanted new lover. His hand is warm, steady, anchoring her as whispers follow their path through the crowd. Her pulse stutters when his thumb strokes her knuckles, a gesture too intimate to be purely performance. Viscari, a sleek man in an Italian suit, approaches, smile sharp as a blade. Quite the lovely companion you've found. Marcos, Salvatore's tone is pleasant but carries steel underneath. I trust the Rinaldi family as well. Oh, quite well. Your friend Tyler Hale has been most informative during his meetings with Fabrizio. Marin's fingers tighten on Salvatore's hand. Tyler, that snake, selling information to their enemies. Salvatore's expression doesn't change, but she feels tension ripple through him. The day passes in a blur of calculated appearances and veiled threats wrapped in social niceties. By evening, Marin's cheeks ache from maintaining her camera-ready smile. The gala venue glitters against the night sky. Marin adjusts her midnight blue gown as they approach the parking structure, security teams sweeping ahead. The concrete space feels too exposed, too full of shadows. The crack of gunfire shatters the night. Before Marin can process what's happening, Salvatore moves like liquid violence, shoving her behind a concrete pillar. His body shields her completely as more shots ring out. She watches, terror and adrenaline flooding her system as Salvatore becomes something else entirely. Precise, lethal, beautiful in his brutality. He takes down the first attacker with 3 economical movements, gun never leaving his hand. The second rushes him with a knife. Salvatore redirects the blade and strikes like a viper, leaving the man unconscious. Through it all, he maintains position between Marin and danger, taking risks to keep her protected. His suit jacket is torn, knuckles bloodied, but his eyes burn with controlled fury when he checks her for injuries. Security swarms in, securing the scene. Salvatore bundles Marin into the waiting car, his touch gentle despite the violence still thrumming through him. As they pull away, he lifts her trembling hand to his lips, pressing one reverent kiss to her knuckles. Double the security detail, he orders into his phone. Full coverage on all approaches to the penthouse. No one gets within 2 blocks without clearance. Marin watches city lights blur past the window, her hand still tingling where his lips touched. The man beside her had just demonstrated how dangerous he could be, yet his kiss held such tenderness it made her heart ache. The car glides through Chicago's streets, heading straight back to the relative safety of the penthouse. Salvatore maintains contact with his security teams, voice clipped as he coordinates responses and countermeasures. His free hand, however, stays linked with Marin's, thumb-stroking soothing patterns across her skin. She should be more frightened, she thinks, should be horrified by the violence she witnessed. Instead, she feels oddly secure, protected by this man who deals in death but touches her like she's precious. The city streaks by in rivers of light, red taillights, golden street lamps, neon signs bleeding color across rain-slick streets. Inside the car, Marin breathes in the lingering scent of gunpowder and expensive cologne, watching Salvatore's profile as he ensures their safety with quiet, lethal efficiency. His phone buzzes with updates. Perimeter secure, attackers in custody, intelligence gathering already underway. Through it all, he doesn't release her hand, as if physical contact reassures him of her safety as much as it steadies her. The car turns toward the lake, where Salvatore's penthouse tower rises like a blade against the night sky. Marin feels the weight of the day, the brunch performance, Tyler's betrayal, the firefight, settling into her bones. Yet beneath the exhaustion runs a current of something else. Awareness of the man beside her, of how naturally their fingers remain interlaced, of the way he positions himself between her and every potential threat. Security waves them through multiple checkpoints as they approach the building. Salvatore's world of violence and power should repel her, but instead she finds herself drawn deeper into his orbit, like a planet caught by gravity's inexorable pull. The penthouse feels different in these quiet hours, city lights casting long shadows across marble floors. Marin's fingers trace the worn edges of her mother's sewing box, memories surfacing like bubbles in still water. She remembers snippets of whispered conversations between her parents, her father's worried frown over papers spread across their kitchen table. Dad worked as an auditor, she says suddenly, breaking the evening silence. Salvatore looks up from his laptop, watching as she opens the box. He mentioned something once about shipping accounts that didn't add up. The vintage box still smells faintly of wood and thread, each compartment holding bits of her mother's life, thimbles, pins, precious buttons saved from old coats. Marin lifts the shallow top tray, her heart stuttering when she spots something taped underneath, a flash drive, dusty but intact. I need to use your computer, she says, voice steady despite her racing pulse. Salvatore wordlessly guides her to his home office, the sleek workstation humming to life. The drive contains dozens of spreadsheets, each more damning than the last. Marin's financial experience helps her decode the patterns. Shell companies, false invoices, money flowing through accounts like water through a sieve, all leading back to the Rinaldi family. "These are dated from last year," she mutters, scanning timestamps. "Dad must have copied everything before." She trails off, remembering his car accident, how the brake lines had failed on a clear day. Salvatore stands behind her chair, tension radiating from his frame. "Is this why you kissed me?" His voice is dangerously quiet. "Did you know who I was?" Marin spins to face him, anger flaring. "Of course not! I kissed you because my ex is a cheating bastard and you were convenient. Did you know who I was?" "No." His response is immediate, firm. "I ran your background after the attempted grab, nothing more. Your father's name came up in old case files." She studies his face, searching for deception but finding only intensity. The data on the drive makes her both valuable and vulnerable, a target for anyone wanting to destroy the Rinaldi's financial empire. "We can use this," Marin says, mind racing through possibilities. "These accounts, they're still active. With the right pressure, we could force them to liquidate, freeze their assets." "You're suggesting we bankrupt them?" Salvatore's eyebrow arches. "I have more permanent solutions." "Solutions that end with body counts?" She challenges him directly. "There are innocent people caught in their web, employees, families. We can dismantle their operation without wholesale slaughter." His expression hardens. "They tried to take you twice. They don't deserve mercy." "This isn't about mercy," Marin argues, standing to face him. "It's strategy. Dead men tell no tales, but paper trails. Those speak volumes. We can destroy their legitimacy, their power base." Something shifts in Salvatore's eyes. Respect, maybe, or recognition. He moves closer, crowding her personal space. "And what do you want in exchange for sharing this information?" "Protection for civilians. No unnecessary casualties. We target the money, not random foot soldiers." "The Rinaldis won't play by such gentle rules." "Then we're better than them." Marin holds his gaze. "I won't have innocent blood on my hands." They negotiate terms, trading points back and forth like swordsmen testing defenses. Salvatore pushes for aggressive action. Marin insists on precision strikes. The tension builds with each exchange until it snaps. Neither moves first. They crash together like waves meeting shore, inevitable and overwhelming. His lips claim hers with none of the restraint from their first kiss. This is raw, honest hunger. Marin's fingers clutch his shirt as his hands span her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepens, tasting of coffee and unspoken promises. It's nothing like their public performance. This is real, electric, dangerous in its intensity. When they finally break apart, both breathing hard, the air between them crackles with possibility. Salvatore steps back first, running a hand through his disheveled hair. The clock on his desk reads 1:47 a.m. "We should sleep," he says, voice rough. "Tomorrow will be complicated." Marin nods, still feeling the ghost of his lips on hers. "The guest room? I'll have someone bring fresh linens." He walks her to the door, professional distance restored except for the heat in his eyes. "I'll take first watch." She wants to argue that she doesn't need a guard, but recent events prove otherwise. Instead, she retreats to the guest room, changing into borrowed pajamas that smell of expensive detergent. Through the door, she hears Salvatore settling onto the sofa in the hallway. The building hums with late-night energy, distant elevators, the whisper of climate control, the subtle movements of security teams patrolling below. Marin lies in the dark, mind spinning with spreadsheets and shell companies. With the weight of her father's legacy and the warmth of Salvatore's kiss, the flash drive sits heavy in her palm. Such a small thing to hold so much power. In the hallway, Salvatore maintains his vigil. She imagines him stretched out on the leather sofa, weapon within easy reach, every sense attuned to potential threats. His presence should make her nervous. He's dangerous, lethal, complicated. Instead, she feels protected, even as her lips still tingle from their kiss. The city glows beyond the windows, a constellation of artificial stars. Somewhere out there, the Rinaldis are planning their next move, unaware that their carefully hidden financial secrets are now exposed. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but for now, Marin allows herself to drift, guarded by a man who deals in death but touches her with surprising gentleness. The first light of dawn paints Lake Michigan in soft pink hues. Marin stands at the penthouse window, coffee warming her hands, watching the city wake. Her hair is still damp from the shower, and she's dressed in a crisp, black pencil skirt and emerald blouse. Armor for the corporate world. I need to stop by the office, she announces as Salvatore emerges from his study. The Morrison event is next week, and I can't leave my team hanging. His jaw tightens. It's not safe. Then send a detail. She meets his gaze steadily. I'm not abandoning my clients because the Rinaldis have a grudge. After a brief staring contest, he nods curtly and makes a call. Within minutes, 2 SUVs idle in the private garage below. The drive to her office is tense with unspoken concerns, Salvatore's hand resting near his concealed weapon. The office building lobby feels surreal, so normal with its polished floors and morning coffee cart, while her world has turned upside down. Security escorts flank them to the elevator, their presence drawing curious glances from early arrivals. Marin is downloading essential files when movement catches her eye. Tyler stands in her office doorway, his usually perfect hair messy, designer clothes wrinkled. He looks like he hasn't slept. Marin, please, he starts, taking a step forward. I need to explain. Salvatore materializes behind him, silent as a shadow. His hand settles at the small of Marin's back, protective, possessive, grounding. Mr. Hale, Salvatore's voice carries the chill of a Chicago winter. I believe you have something to confess. Tyler's face drains of color. I don't. Friday night, 11:42 p.m., you met with Marco Rinaldi at the Drake. Salvatore's words slice through Tyler's denial. Saturday, 3:15 a.m., you provided Marin's home address, office location, and schedule in exchange for exclusive content rights to the rooftop kiss scandal and guaranteed brand partnerships with Rinaldi-owned companies. Marin's stomach lurches. You sold me out? For content? Baby, no, it wasn't. Tyler reaches for her, but Salvatore's presence makes him think better of it. They promised exposure, connections. I didn't think they'd actually... Actually what? Marin's voice trembles with rage. Actually try to kidnap me? Actually break into my apartment? The DA's office would be very interested in your role facilitating attempted kidnapping, Salvatore adds smoothly, as would your sponsors, I imagine. Tyler backs toward the door, hands raised. Look, I'll delete everything, okay? The photos, the messages. It never happened. Run, Salvatore suggests quietly. Tyler doesn't need to be told twice. When his footsteps fade, Marin's professional facade crumbles. She sinks into her chair, hands shaking as she covers her face. Tears slip through her fingers. Not for Tyler, but for her own naive trust, for the person she used to be who thought Instagram likes meant something real. Salvatore kneels beside her chair, one hand covering hers. He doesn't offer empty comfort, just steady presence while she processes the betrayal. When she finally looks up, his expression is murderous, but his touch remains gentle. I want to go home, she whispers, then realizes she means the penthouse, not her compromised apartment. The ride back is silent, Marin watching the city blur past. She shed something, illusions, maybe, or the last traces of who she was before the rooftop kiss. The woman who emerges from the elevator into Salvatore's penthouse is harder, wiser, more certain of what she wants. She finds him in the kitchen, jacket off, sleeves rolled up as he studies security reports. The afternoon sun gilds his profile, highlighting the tension in his shoulders that speaks of carefully restrained violence. Stay, she says simply. He looks up, dark eyes searching her face. You're sure? I'm sure. She moves closer until only inches separate them. I know who you are, what you are. I'm choosing this. Choosing you. The kiss starts slow, deliberate, building like a storm. His hands frame her face with exquisite care, even as desire darkens his gaze. Every touch is a question, every response an explicit yes. They leave a trail of clothing from kitchen to bedroom, her blouse, his tie, shoes abandoned in the hallway. He worships her body with the same precision he applies to everything, learning what makes her gasp, what makes her arch against him. Tell me what you want, he murmurs against her throat. You, she breathes. Just you. He takes her apart slowly, thoroughly, until she's trembling beneath him. His control never wavers, even when she rakes her nails down his back. Each kiss is a claim, each touch a promise of protection. When they finally come together, it's with the inevitability of gravity. Later, as Monday bleeds into Tuesday, they lie tangled in expensive sheets. The city hums beyond the windows, a constant reminder of the world waiting outside. The building's HVAC system provides a quiet undertone, almost like white noise. Marin traces idle patterns on Salvatore's chest, feeling the steady thrum of his heartbeat. He plays with her hair, occasional kisses pressed to her temple. Neither sleeps, both aware that everything has shifted. There's no going back from this choice. She's not the same woman who kissed a stranger on a rooftop. He's not quite the cold-blooded enforcer the underworld fears. Together they've created something new, something that tastes like possibility, despite the danger still circling their edges. The lake reflects city lights like scattered stars, while inside the penthouse, two people who started as strangers find themselves irreversibly changed by choice and circumstance, consent and desire, protection and trust. The penthouse's security system chirps softly at 4:47 a.m., an authorized entry. Marin stirs against Salvatore's chest, but his steady breathing tells her he's already alert, cataloging the sound. Enzo Carai's polished footsteps echo through the foyer. Even at this hour, the consigliere's silver hair is immaculate, his suit crisp. He carries coffee and a leather portfolio, urbane as ever. Attempted breach at the Monroe property, Enzo announces without preamble. Clean now, but thought you should know immediately. Salvatore eases from bed, pulling on a robe. Show me. Marin watches through half-lidded eyes as they move to the study, their murmured conversation fading. Something niggles at her consciousness. The speed of Enzo's arrival, the convenient timing. She drifts back to sleep before she can grasp why it bothers her. Late morning sun finds her at the kitchen island, laptop open to event logistics, while Salvatore takes calls in his office. Enzo moves through the space like a familiar ghost, asking staff about security protocols with grandfatherly charm. Maria downstairs is quite vigilant, he mentions casually. Very thorough with the visitor logs. Marin's fingers pause on her keyboard. The concierge's name is Marta. She'd chatted with the woman just yesterday about package delivery times. Anyone who'd actually spoken to her would know that. She watches Enzo more closely after that. The way he studies the security feeds a beat too long, how his questions circle back to patrol schedules, access points. The portfolio he keeps close, angled away from view. When she finds Salvatore alone, she tries to voice her concerns. The concierge, Enzo called her Maria, but her name is Marta. He claimed to have talked to her, but Enzo's been my father's consigliere since before I was born, Salvatore cuts her off, voice tight. He's earned the benefit of any doubt. I'm not doubting his history, Marin argues. I'm telling you what I observed. He knew about the Monroe breach awfully fast. And why was he here at dawn? Pride flashes in Salvatore's eyes, mixed with something darker. You've been here 3 days. He's given 30 years of loyalty to my family. Loyalty can change. People can change. She reaches for his arm, but he steps back, jaw set. Not Enzo. His tone brooks no argument. Drop it. The dismissal stings worse than she expects. She'd thought they were partners now, that her instincts mattered. Apparently 3 nights of shared vulnerability didn't override decades of ingrained hierarchy. Marin retreats to the guest room where her clothes still hang, though she hasn't slept there since Sunday. Her hands shake slightly as she writes a note. Needs some air. Going to Brielle's for a few hours, back before midnight. She leaves it on the kitchen counter, knowing his security will alert him the moment she exits the building. The bodyguard detail falls into step as she reaches the lobby, professional and watchful. The city dims toward dusk, streetlights flickering to life. Marin stares out the sedan's window, mind churning over Enzo's subtle tells, Salvatore's stubborn loyalty. She barely registers the delivery truck ahead until they're forced to slow behind it. It happens fast, vehicles boxing them in, masked figures materializing from shadows. The bodyguard reaches for his weapon, but a taser drops him before he can draw. Rough hands grab Marin's arms, dragging her toward a waiting van despite her kicks and screams. The last thing she sees is the dying daylight, violet bleeding to black above the buildings before a hood descends and darkness swallows everything. The guard they had assigned her is unconscious, slumped against the steering wheel as city noise swallows her muffled shouts. Professional, clinical, a choreographed extraction executed with military precision. Through the chaos, one detail burns in her mind. The delivery truck's logo matched a shell company from her father's spreadsheets. The same document she'd shown Enzo during yesterday's strategy session when he'd lingered over that page a moment too long. She remembers Salvatore's words about his brother, the one who vanished. Enzo had been consigliere then too, had access to schedules, protocols, weak points in security. A perfectly positioned inside man, patient enough to wait decades for the right moment to strike again. The van doors slam shut, engines growl to life. Marin's world narrows to the scratch of fabric against her face and the bitter taste of betrayal as they accelerate into the gathering night. She'd seen the truth in time to warn Salvatore, but his blind spot for Enzo had left them both vulnerable. Tires squeal around a corner, throwing her against the van's metal wall. She forces herself to breathe, to think past the fear. They want her alive. If they didn't, they wouldn't have bothered with the hood or the careful extraction. She's valuable, which means she has time. Salvatore will come for her. She knows this bone deep, with the same certainty she'd felt when choosing to stay. But first he'll have to face the betrayal she tried to warn him about, the poison at the heart of his organization that he refused to see. The van takes another sharp turn. Marin counts seconds, tracks direction changes, cataloging everything she can through other senses since they've taken her sight. She may be the bait in this trap, but she won't be passive prey. She'll find a way to leave breadcrumbs, to help Salvatore find her. If only he'd listened, if only pride hadn't blinded him to the rot beneath Enzo's polished surface. But regret won't help her now. She needs to stay alert, stay alive, give Salvatore time to realize what his loyalty has cost them both. The van accelerates onto what feels like a highway, city sounds fading. Marin flexes her zip-tied hands, testing for weakness, mind already plotting her next move. She won't make it easy for them, whoever they are. She's done being underestimated. The hood comes off in a fluorescent-lit office that reeks of machine oil and neglect. Marin blinks against the harsh light, her wrists burning from the zip ties. The space around her is all concrete and rust-flecked metal, industrial shelving lining the walls. A desk sits abandoned in one corner, its drawers hanging open like broken teeth. Through watering eyes, she catalogs everything. Training from years of event planning kicks in, the habit of noting exits, mapping spaces, looking for problems before they arise. A city inspection sticker peels from the wall near a circuit breaker dated 8 months ago. Through a gap where the door doesn't quite meet the frame, she glimpses part of a license plate on a parked vehicle. XRK 847. A generator thrums somewhere outside, its rhythm precise and mechanical. Every 4 minutes like clockwork. She counts the intervals, anchoring herself to the steady sound. Footsteps echo on concrete, measured and unhurried. Enzo appears in the doorway, silver hair immaculate despite the grime of their surroundings. His expression is blank, eyes flat and dark as river stones. "I truly am sorry about this, Miss Cole." His voice carries the same polished courtesy he'd used serving coffee that morning. "But necessary sacrifices must be made." "Necessary for what?" Marin's throat feels raw from screaming earlier, but she keeps her tone level. "How much did they pay you to betray him?" "Money?" Enzo's laugh holds no warmth. "This was never about money. This is about balance, about debts coming due." He moves to the desk, straightening a stack of papers with precise movements. "The Rinaldis made me an offer, yes. But more importantly, they made me a promise. About Giuseppe. Salvatore's brother. The missing piece that had hollowed out something vital in the man she'd come to love. What promise? They know where he is." Enzo's hands still on the papers. After all these years, they kept that secret, and now they're willing to trade it. For what? Salvatore's territory? His life? For justice? Enzo's mask cracks slightly, showing something bitter underneath. "I watched him build his empire on his brother's grave, never questioning, never looking back. Someone needs to make him remember what he lost, what we all lost." Marin studies him, seeing the brittleness beneath his elegant exterior. "You're lying to yourself. This isn't about justice. It's about your own guilt. You helped cover up whatever happened to Giuseppe, didn't you?" The crack of Enzo's hand across her face comes without warning. She tastes blood, but satisfaction burns brighter than the pain. She'd found his weak spot. "The flash drive," he says, voice tight. "Where is it?" "Somewhere safe." Marin works her jaw, testing for damage. "On a dead man's timer. If I don't check in every 24 hours, everything goes public. The shell companies, the money trails, all of it." It's a bluff, but she sells it with the same conviction she uses to pitch million-dollar campaigns. Enzo's eyes narrow, uncertainty flickering across his face. While he processes this, she shifts position, using the movement to obscure her real purpose. The flash drive slides from her sleeve. They hadn't searched her thoroughly enough, assuming the designer dress left nowhere to hide anything. With careful movements, she works it into a gap behind the filing cabinet where a brick has come loose. "You're lying," Enzo says finally, but doubt edges his words. "Am I? You've seen how thorough those records are. My father didn't just stumble across them. He built fail-safes, dead drops, automatic triggers. Each statement contains just enough truth to make the lies convincing. Why do you think the Rinaldis want me alive? They know they need my cooperation to stop the timer. Fresh voices approach from outside, heavy footsteps, the metallic click of weapons being checked. Marin forces herself to breathe steadily, silently reciting the license plate number like a mantra. XRK 847, XRK 847. Each repetition helps push back the fear, gives her something to focus on besides the approaching threat. Across the city, in a penthouse overlooking the lake, a different scene unfolds. Salvatore stands at his desk, face carved from marble as he stares at the alert on his tablet. The burner phone he'd slipped into Marin's purse that morning, a precaution she hadn't even known about, has just pinged its location. The coordinates flash on his screen, an industrial complex near the river, officially abandoned, but still drawing power according to the grid readings. His hands remain steady as he checks satellite imagery, thermal scans, traffic camera feeds. No detail escapes his attention, no variable left unconsidered. But beneath that clinical analysis, rage burns cold and precise. He remembers Marin trying to warn him about Enzo, remembers dismissing her concerns with arrogant certainty. Pride had blinded him, and she was paying the price. The clock on his desk clicks toward midnight. In the warehouse office, Marin straightens her spine as multiple shadows fall across the threshold. She holds the license plate number in her mind like a shield, like a promise. XRK 847. Evidence, proof, a breadcrumb for Salvatore to follow. The night stretches between them, warehouse to penthouse, captive to rescuer, betrayal to vengeance. But neither of them know that yet. For now, there is only the steady count of seconds, the hum of the generator, and the weight of choices that cannot be undone as Tuesday draws its final breaths. The warehouse district crouches beneath a sliver of moon, its abandoned buildings like teeth in the darkness. Just after midnight, 3 black SUVs cut through the shadows, their engines barely a whisper. Inside the lead vehicle, Salvatore studies a tablet tracking the signal from Marin's phone, his face carved from marble in winter. The first safe house yields nothing but terrified low-level soldiers who break easily, spilling information about patrol patterns and guard rotations. The second gives them radio frequencies and confirmation of Enzo's betrayal. With each dead end, Salvatore's fury burns colder, more precise. "Sir," his security chief murmurs. "Thermal imaging shows movement in the northwest quadrant." The warehouse looms ahead, its metal walls reflecting moonlight. Salvatore's strike team moves like smoke. 4 men at the rear exits, 2 covering the roof access, 3 with him at the main entrance. The door gives way beneath a breaching charge, surprisingly quiet with its sophisticated dampeners. Inside, emergency lights cast sickly shadows. Gunfire erupts from the upper walkway. Salvatore's men return fire with silenced weapons, dropping bodies with mechanical efficiency. They clear each room with practiced coordination, the sound of combat rippling through the building's steel bones. In the office, Marin flinches at the first shots. Fabrizio's lieutenant, a scarred man called Marco, drags her up against his chest, pressing cold metal to her. Temple. Enzo stands by the desk, his elegant composure fraying as booted feet approach. The door splinters inward. Salvatore enters first, gun raised, flanked by his men. His eyes lock onto Marin's face, cataloging every bruise and cut before shifting to Enzo with glacial hatred. "Don't move," Marco warns, tightening his grip on Marin. "Or I paint the wall with her pretty face." Salvatore's expression doesn't change. He reaches slowly into his jacket and withdraws a second pistol, holding it out to Enzo. "1 bullet," he says softly. "Choose carefully, old friend. Give me every Rinaldi operation, every asset, every secret you've sold them over the years, or die knowing you failed them too." Enzo's hands shake as he takes the gun. "You don't understand. They know about Giuseppe. They promised—" "My brother is dead," Salvatore cuts him off. "You helped hide that truth. How long have you been feeding them information? Since before he disappeared?" "I had to balance things," Enzo whispers. "The family was changing too fast. Giuseppe understood tradition, but you were too ruthless, too modern. I thought if I helped them pressure you. The truth. Now." Enzo's shoulders slump. 15 years since Giuseppe left. I've been their source on security protocols, shipping manifests, financial transfers. And yes, I knew what happened to him. They have proof he's alive, somewhere in South America. They promised to tell me where if I delivered her. He gestures at Marin with the gun. Salvatore doesn't hesitate. The The shot cracks through the room, and Enzo crumples, surprise etched on his face. The gun he never got to raise clatters to the floor. Marco jerks, startled by the sudden execution. It's enough! Marin drives her elbow back into his solar plexus and twists away. Salvatore's second shot takes Marco through the throat before he can recover. The room falls silent except for Marin's ragged breathing. Salvatore crosses to her in 3 long strides, shrugging off his coat to wrap it around her shoulders. His hands ghost over her face, checking injuries. I don't lose what's mine, he murmurs, voice rough with suppressed emotion. Then louder. Get the medics in here. The emergency response team works quickly, cleaning and bandaging the rope burns on Marin's wrists. They check her for concussion, for shock, for any hidden injuries. Through it all, Salvatore keeps one hand on her shoulder, as if afraid she'll disappear if he breaks contact. Outside, the sky shows the first hint of pre-dawn gray. Salvatore helps Marin into the SUV, sliding in beside her. She leans against his shoulder, feeling the tension thrumming through his body. Take us home, he tells the driver. Then into his phone. I want round-the-clock security on Brielle Collins. Full sweep of all systems for any access points Enzo might have created. Lock down every account, every property, every digital signature. Nothing moves without triple verification. Marin closes her eyes, breathing in his familiar scent of sandalwood and gunpowder. I tried to tell you about him. I know. Salvatore's arm tightens around her. Pride makes fools of us all, but never again. He closes his eyes briefly, a gesture so human it makes her heart ache. When he opens them again, they're clear and focused. We'll find every trap he laid, every weakness he created, and then we'll rebuild, stronger, smarter. The city slides past their tinted windows, streetlights blurring into rivers of gold. Salvatore's phone buzzes constantly with updates. Teams deploying to secure properties. Technicians beginning their systematic sweep of their digital infrastructure. Security details confirming Brielle's safety. Marin touches the bandages on her wrists, remembering the flash drive hidden in the warehouse office. Another piece of leverage, another weapon in their arsenal. But that's a revelation for later, when they're safe behind the penthouse's walls, and she can think beyond the immediate rhythm of survival. For now, she lets herself rest against Salvatore's solid presence as his people work to seal the breaches in their defenses. His heartbeat is steady under her ear, a counter rhythm to the soft rumble of the engine carrying them home through the last dark hours before dawn. Marin's hands shake slightly as she extracts the flash drive from behind the loose brick. Dawn light filters through the warehouse windows, casting long shadows across the concrete floor where violence had erupted just hours before. Salvatore's men sweep the perimeter, their movements precise and watchful. Smart thinking, Salvatore says quietly, pocketing the drive. His eyes haven't left her since they returned, as if memorizing her presence. Back at the penthouse by mid-morning, Marin sits cross-legged on the leather sofa, laptop balanced on her knees. Dark circles shadow her eyes, but her voice is steady as she outlines her strategy. Look here, she points to a spreadsheet. Their legitimate holdings are vulnerable. We don't need bullets. We need warrants. These shell companies are sloppy. The money trail leads straight to their core operations. Salvatore leans over her shoulder, his presence warm and solid. The Rinaldis won't go quietly. Then we make noise they can't fight, Marin argues. Federal investigations, asset freezes, coordinated raids, clean and legal where possible. She turns to face him. And your crews can secure the docks without bloodshed. Show of force, not force itself. He studies her face, considering. You want to remake an empire without breaking eggs. I want to build something that lasts without destroying lives in the process. She gestures to another document. My consultancy can help transition the legitimate operations. Real brands, real growth, real power, just cleaner. A hybrid approach, he muses, running a hand through his dark hair. Your business acumen with my strategic assets. Exactly. Hit them where it hit them. Hurts. Their money and their infrastructure. But do it smart. Throughout the afternoon, they refine the plan. Salvatore's tech team packages selected financial records for federal authorities, while his street captains prepare for the dock operation. Marin coordinates with trusted contacts in various agencies, laying groundwork for synchronized warrants. By evening, the city hums with controlled chaos. Federal agents descend on Rinaldi businesses with warrant packets. Bank accounts freeze in cascading waves. At the docks, Salvatore's crews move with clockwork precision, securing key positions without firing a single shot. The show of overwhelming force is enough. Rinaldi dock workers step aside, hands raised. Marin monitors everything from the penthouse command center, directing information flows and managing optics. Her phone buzzes constantly with media alerts. That infamous rooftop photo has resurfaced, but now the narrative has shifted. Mystery Woman has become Queenmaker in breathless social media posts. "They're calling me your secret weapon," she tells Salvatore, showing him a trending headline. "Apparently, I'm either a criminal mastermind or a reforming influence. No one can decide which." "Both," he says, with a hint of pride. "You're changing the game." Reports continue flowing in as night falls. The Rinaldi empire crumbles not with gunfire, but with paperwork and precision. Their legitimate businesses fall under federal scrutiny, while their criminal operations find themselves suddenly cut off from vital infrastructure. Near midnight, Marin steps onto the penthouse balcony, needing a moment of quiet. The lake wind tugs at her hair, carrying the scent of water and city. Chicago stretches before her, a glittering tapestry of lights and shadows. So much power concentrated in those streets, she thinks. So many ways to use it for better or worse. Salvatore joins her, his shoulder brushing hers as he leans against the railing. The wind ruffles his usually immaculate hair, making him look almost vulnerable. "I'm in this with you," she says quietly, watching the city lights reflect off the lake. "All the way. But we protect the innocent. We build something better, not just bigger." He turns to face her, expression intense in the darkness. A single nod, but his eyes hold a vow deeper than words. His hand finds hers on the railing, fingers interlacing with deliberate care. They stand there a moment longer, watching their city settle into new patterns of power. The wind carries distant sirens and the eternal pulse of urban life. Behind them, phones continue buzzing with updates, messages, the endless flow of information that marks modern warfare. "We should try to sleep," Salvatore says finally. "Tomorrow brings more battles." Marin lets him guide her inside, away from the wind and the glittering vista. The penthouse feels like a fortress now, but a different kind than before. Not just a stronghold of power, but a workshop for transformation. On the coffee table, her laptop displays market projections alongside security briefings. Her event planning calendar now includes strategy sessions and corporate restructuring meetings. The bedroom is quiet, a sanctuary from the controlled storm they've unleashed. Marin's evening routine feels surreal, washing her face, changing into soft sleep clothes, all while federal agents across the city execute warrants she helped orchestrate. Salvatore sets his phone on the nightstand, finally silencing the constant updates. His jacket and holster hang precisely in the closet, but she knows he keeps a weapon within reach. Some habits don't change, even as others evolve. They settle into bed, exhaustion finally catching up. Marin curls into his side, feeling the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. Outside, their city reshapes itself around their actions, power flowing into new channels they've carved. Tomorrow will bring fresh challenges, new battles to fight with spreadsheets and strategies instead of bullets. But for now, they seek a few hours of rest, wrapped in the quiet certainty that they're building something unprecedented. A criminal empire evolving into legitimate power, guided by a moral compass that somehow survived the darkness. It's a delicate balance, this marriage of shadow and light, but they're writing new rules with every careful step forward. Thursday afternoon bathes the cemetery in autumn light, the sun hanging low enough to cast long shadows between headstones. Marin adjusts her wool coat against the chill as she and Salvatore walk the winding path, their footsteps crunching on fallen leaves. His security detail spreads out in a practice formation, maintaining distance while scanning the grounds. The quiet here feels different from the city's constant buzz, more deliberate, weighted with memory. Salvatore's stride shortens as they near his mother's plot, his usual fluid grace tightening with each step. Marin watches his profile, noting how the sharp angles of his face soften when confronting this particular pain. "She loved gardenias," he says quietly, placing a fresh bouquet against the polished stone. The house always smelled of them. Marin stands slightly back, giving him space while absorbing every detail. The dates carved in marble, the Italian prayer beneath, the way Salvatore's fingers linger on the stone's edge. This is where his guard drops, where the warlord becomes simply a son who lost his mother too soon. Movement catches her peripheral vision, sunlight glinting off something metallic 2 rows down. Her heart stutters as she recognizes the license plate from the warehouse, burned into her memory during those terrifying hours. XRK 247. Time slows to crystal clarity. She sees the barrels glint, calculates trajectories, and moves purely on instinct. Her hands find Salvatore's shoulders, and she yanks him backward with all her strength. The crack of the shot follows a heartbeat later. Fire blazes across her shoulder as the bullet meant for Salvatore's heart tears through flesh instead. She stumbles, caught in his arms, as he spins them both behind a large memorial stone. His face transforms into something terrible and beautiful, the protective fury of a man watching his worst fear manifest. "Northeast corner, behind the cypress," he barks into his calm, voice arctic. "Box them in, no escape routes." His men move like shadows through the grounds, coordinating with hand signals and practiced efficiency. Salvatore presses his jacket against Marin's wound while directing the operation, his touch gentle, even as his commands carry death. More shots crack the air. Return fire comes from multiple angles as his team executes a perfect flanking maneuver. Marin grits her teeth against the pain, focusing on breathing while Salvatore's men close the trap. The firefight is brief but intense. Professional killers meeting professional killers on consecrated ground. When silence falls again, Salvatore's security chief confirms 3 hostiles eliminated, no survivors to question. The cemetery grounds, sacred and still just moments ago, now hold fresh violence among the old griefs. Salvatore kneels in the cold grass beside Marin, his hands checking her wound with careful precision. The bullet only grazed muscle, painful but not life-threatening. Still, when he presses his forehead against her injured arm, she feels him trembling. "My brother," he says, voice rough with emotion he rarely shows. "Marco isn't dead like everyone thinks. He turned on us years ago, joined the Rinaldis. Everything. The territory wars, the betrayals, Enzo's corruption. It all traces back to him lighting the fuse." Marin processes this revelation through the haze of pain and adrenaline. The missing brother isn't missing at all. He's the architect of this war. The grief in Salvatore's voice takes on new meaning. This isn't just loss, but betrayal at the deepest level. "If you want out," Salvatore continues, still not meeting her eyes, "I'll understand. I'll make sure you're protected. Set up somewhere safe. Before he comes back, and he will come back, you deserve the chance to walk away." Marin reaches with her good arm, fingers finding his jaw and forcing him to look at her. His eyes hold a vulnerability she's only glimpsed in private moments, the mask of the untouchable crime lord cracking to show the man beneath. "I choose you," she says firmly. "All of you. The monster they fear and the man who holds me at night. Your brother's sins aren't yours to carry alone anymore." Something breaks and reforms in his expression, relief, gratitude, and fierce possession tangling together. He helps her stand as his security team sweeps the perimeter again. The medical team he summoned arrives discreetly, loading them into an armored SUV for the drive back to the penthouse. By evening, Marin sits on their bed while Salvatore's private physician finishes bandaging. Her shoulder. The local anesthetic dulls the pain to a distant throb, and exhaustion starts creeping in as the adrenaline fades. Salvatore hasn't left her side since the cemetery, his attention divided between monitoring her care and coordinating increased security protocols through his phone. When the doctor finally leaves, Marin lets herself lean into Salvatore's chest. His arms come around her carefully, mindful of her injury. She feels the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, strong and alive because she saw the threat in time. His chin rests on her head, and though he seems relaxed, she knows he's watching the door with predator's focus. Her eyes grow heavy as the day's events catch up with her. The last thing she registers before sleep claims her is the solid warmth of his body and the slight tension in his muscles. A man holding his world together through sheer will, ready to defend what's his against any threat. Even blood. His stillness as she drifts off carries more meaning than words. A promise written in the language of protection and possession. Whatever comes next, whatever ghost from his past returns to haunt them, they'll face it together. The monster and the man, the queen and her warfare strategist, building something new from the ashes of old betrayals. The city breathes different rhythms now. A week of methodical progress has redrawn territories and alliances, with Marin's fingerprints on every contract and compromise. The Vescari Empire evolves under her influence, still formidable, but guided by clearer principles. Morning light streams through the penthouse windows as Marin reviews proposals for the waterfront development project. Salvatore's mother's name will grace the community center, while the surrounding businesses will provide legitimate employment for families looking to break cycles of violence. It's a delicate balance, this transformation, but they're making it work. The contractor estimates are in, Salvatore says, setting a fresh coffee beside her laptop. His casual domesticity still surprises her, the feared crime lord who knows exactly how she takes her coffee. "Thank you." She takes a sip, studying his face. The shadows under his eyes have lightened. They both sleep better now that the immediate threats are neutralized. "How was the dock inspection?" "Smooth. The new oversight protocols you designed are working." He rolls his shoulders, suit jacket perfectly fitted despite the early hour. The unions appreciate having clear lines of communication. Marin nods, remembering the tense meetings where they hammered out those protocols. Violence still exists in their world, but it's contained now, directed away from innocence. The rules they've written together form a framework that even Salvatore's most hardened captains respect. Later that afternoon, she visits Brielle at her new studio space. The security detail maintains a discreet distance while the friends catch up over coffee from the artisan, roaster downstairs. "This place is incredible," Brielle says, gesturing at the exposed brick walls and floor-to-ceiling windows. "Though I'm still getting used to the guys in suits checking IDs at the door." "They're necessary," Marin replies, thinking of the threats they've weathered. "But they're under strict orders to stay invisible unless needed." "I know." Brielle squeezes her hand. "And I know why. I've made peace with our new normal." She grins. "Besides, that cute one by the elevator actually has great taste in music." Marin laughs, grateful for her friend's resilience. Brielle has adapted to their protected life with remarkable grace, accepting the security while maintaining her independence. It's proof that their system works, that people can thrive under protection without losing themselves. The day flows into evening as Marin oversees final preparations for tomorrow's charity gala. The event will publicly launch several Viscari-funded scholarship programs, converting old power into new opportunities. She's built safeguards into every aspect, ensuring the money stays clean and the benefits reach their intended recipients. Tyler's absence from the city's social scene barely registers anymore. His signed NDA sits in a lawyer's vault, insurance against future indiscretions. The influencer who once occupied so much of Marin's mental space has faded to irrelevance, his betrayal transformed into a lesson about true loyalty. Sunset paints the lake in amber and rose as Marin returns to the penthouse. She finds Salvatore on their private terrace, his usual vigilance, softened by something she can't quite read. The city spreads below them like a living circuit board, lights winking on as darkness gathers. "Come here," he says, holding out his hand. When she takes it, his fingers are warm despite the evening chill. "I've been thinking about legacy." Marin lets him draw her close, feeling the solid strength of him. "The Scholarship Foundation, the community projects, those too." His free hand slips into his pocket. "But mainly about us, what we're building together." The ring catches the last rays of sunset as he holds it up. It's elegant, but not flashy. A perfect balance of beauty and restraint, just like the rules they've written for their world. The diamond's fire seems to mirror the city lights emerging below. "This isn't about ownership," he says, voice low and intense. "You've never needed a leash. This is a promise that I'll always be both the monster they fear and the man who comes home to you. That my power will serve our vision, not corrupt it." Marin's heart thunders against her ribs as she meets his gaze. "And I promise to be your compass," she replies. "To keep us pointed toward protection, not destruction. To build something lasting from all this strength." The ring slides onto her finger as fireworks suddenly burst over the lake, their reflection dancing across the water. It's a perfect moment of synchronicity. Light and power transformed into beauty, just as they're transforming their world. Salvatore cups her face in his hands and kisses her deeply. She tastes coffee and conviction on his lips, feels the careful restraint in his touch. He's still the predator who terrorizes their enemies, but with her, that ferocity transmutes into fierce devotion. They break apart slowly, turning to watch more fireworks paint the sky. Their joined hands rest on the terrace rail, and Marin studies the contrast, her fingers interlaced with his, the ring catching colored flashes from above. The city below isn't a battlefield anymore, but a kingdom they'll rule together, guided by principles they've forged in fire. The night air carries hints of lake water and possibility. In the distance, boats dot the dark water, their lights twinkling like earthbound stars. The security team maintains their watchful perimeter, but tonight their presence feels less like a cage and more like a foundation, the solid base that lets Marin and Salvatore build something new. Music drifts up from a restaurant below, mingling with the sounds of traffic and distant sirens. It's the symphony of their city, the urban heartbeat they're slowly transforming. Each legitimate business opened, each family protected, each rule enforced shapes their legacy, not just as power brokers, but as architects of change.